Well, it's been 2 days since we last recorded, and
so meta.
Yeah. So within those last 2 days, Sydney's family have come to visit, and
Is it their first time in Japan?
it is their first
They're very American, right?
in Japan, and
Damn.
it has been an eye-opening experience, to say the least.
Okay.
Because I didn't know if I'd had enough to talk about within just because they've only really been here for 1 day,
Right.
So I spent yesterday taking care of them.
Yeah.
And it was certainly eye-opening to see their perspective on
Where are
things.
the cheese curds?
Yeah, so to give a bit of perspective, Sydney's family is very like, when you think of a Midwestern American family, they are the most typical Midwestern American family you can think of. I think the only time they've been outside of, let's say, they've been to Asia was to visit Thailand, and that was because they wanted to visit my family and stuff like that.
Sure.
And I don't think they'd ever been even like close to like acclimated or even introduced to Asian culture or just like the Asian mindset before Thailand. So seeing them here in Japan, which is probably like Asia hard mode, you know what I mean? It's
Well, it's unlike a lot of other Asian countries in a lot of ways, right?
yeah, exactly. Even for Asian countries, Thailand is a bit more, I would say, friendly or like used to having like foreigners come in and tourists comes in as well. Japan is even more on the side of, okay, we operate our own way and people are just gonna have to get used to that, and that's totally fine, but you can have a much bigger culture shock than you can in other Asian countries.
I'd say so, yeah.
And so it was eye-opening for me, because I think in our generation we have been like introduced to a lot of different cultures in the world, just by being on the internet, and just by being on the internet, we see how different cultures operate and stuff like that. Obviously, for people in the older generation that have never really gone out of like European or American culture, it's
parents.
Your parents, right? It was certainly weird seeing them, seeing how they like. So the first thing that really blew their minds, and I had to like explain this to them like over and over again. You do not tip here.
Wait, really? That's like multiple like explanations.
It's probably just so ingrained into their system, right? Where they just accidentally leave some cash on the table.
Yeah, because every time they'd encounter someone in the service industry here, they'd ask, why are they doing this not for tips?
Why is he doing his job not for tips? What the fuck?
Yeah, because the first encounter they had was going to the hotel and having a guy bring their bags up, and I had told them before, Sydney had told them before, that you don't need to tip anyone here, and they had assumed, okay, that means they don't have to tip the waiters here. But that could mean you have to tip, your handlers here. They're, taxi drivers. That's a whole different deal. So it's just their first culture shock was just coming to like a service industry, a hotel, and just realizing that people will just do things for them in service of them to make them comfortable, without any incentive to like have to tip or anything like that.
God forbid.
And I was explaining to them. Especially in bars and stuff, because I think bars was something. We'll get to like bars in a second, but bars was something that in America, I think people in bars try to cultivate a nice welcoming kind of atmosphere so that they can get like good tips and stuff.
Yeah,
like
of
that,
course,
right?
of course.
Tipping, I think, in like even above like restaurants, tipping in bars, I think is a massive thing, because I think that's where the biggest variance is. And they were very surprised at just how many small independent bars there are in such like a densely compacted area.
Right.
And I'm like, and they were like, how do they stay in business if not for tips? It like didn't make sense for them.
That's the question of the century.
I mean, I've lived here for like ages, and I'm like, I'm still impressed.
We still don't know.
I'm still impressed. And I was saying, instead of working for tips in a lot of places, a lot of these independent places in Japan, I think it's more of like they try to cultivate a loyalty system,
like a loyalty system,
right? Like a patron system where you have certain regular customers that come back as often as possible.
Yeah, I mean, you can buy a lot of bars, and like smaller independent ones. You can buy a bottle, and they put your name on it. So whenever you come back in, you can drink from that bottle.
Yeah.
So they'll pour you, and you'll see it because they'll have like rows and rows of bottles numbered or have name tags on them. So that's like another way that they try to make sure that you come back a lot.
Yeah. And so the first restaurant I took them to yesterday was a sushi restaurant.
Okay.
Because I was thinking sushi's like entry level in my mind.
Well, that's like the Japanese food.
It's
you'll think about.
Yeah,
right?
it's the Japanese food, and it's readily available in America. But even if it's readily available in America, take a Midwest, introduce a Midwestern family to sushi. They don't eat sushi very, very often. And
where's the cream cheese? Where's the avocado?
I asked for the California roll. Where is it?
It made me realize that I had taken for granted just how like acclimated a lot of our friends are, because the first challenge that we came across was chopsticks.
Yeah.
Oh,
Chopsticks, and I'd forgotten that chopsticks were just a thing that's
It's a skill that's acquired.
it's a skill that's acquired. And okay, it did make me think a bit. Okay, it did make me think a bit after seeing them have to like try to navigate their way around chopsticks. Which in the end I was like, just use your hands because you can use your hands with sushi here. Okay,
Just fucking grab that shit.
They're in Matsuya. And they're like, all right, I guess I'll eat the rice and the beef with my hands. All right.
Because one of Sydney's aunts did ask for a fork, I think, and I was just like, just use your hands. Okay, just use your hands.
No, do not bring shame to this table.
We are already standing out. I told my parents, I was like, hey, please practice chopsticks a little bit before you come. Just use them a little bit.
Yeah. Because, okay, it did make me think, okay. Because I've grown up with chopsticks, okay? Asian household. I've grown up with chopsticks. It's a part of Asian culture in a lot of Asian countries.
Yeah.
Is it the best tool in the modern day? Is it superior to forks and spoons and knives?
The more I use it, the more I think there are circumstances where it's good, and there are other times where I'm like, dude, just the knife and fork is just the go.
Yeah.
Like, it's the spoon's never going to be replaced. The spoon is literally there's no competitor.
Yeah.
That's why
Except the hand.
Yeah.
the spork is the superior option.
See, the spork. Okay, here's the thing: the spork on paper is the superior option to everything. But can you use it without feeling like a 5-year-old?
No. It does because it's always plastic as well. So you always kind of feel like
we're the metal forks.
Yeah, they don't make metal sporks.
The metal sporks. Yeah.
Because I was thinking, I'm Asian, and I will always like promote, people trying to use chopsticks and trying to like learn different cultures and everything like that.
Sure.
But I'm like, you know what? I never needed a tutorial to use a fork. There was never a learning arc in my life to learn how to use a fork.
Yeah.
But do you remember like the first time you learned how to use a chopstick?
No, I was kind of born with one in my hand. Honestly, by the time I gained consciousness, I was just like, it's in my hand and I can use it.
I don't think I used chopsticks until I was like 15 or 16.
Yeah, right.
And I remember having a hard time. Like I remember it was tough, and like I remember I'd get like hand pains and wrist pains.
Yeah, because it would cramp, right?
I was holding it so hard, and so like tense. Yeah, and it would cramp. And I just remember it is tough. Like it does take a little while.
I used to.
It's not like plug and play like a knife and fork.
No, it's not.
I used to use like the in Japan they sell like the hashi for children, where like the ends are connected and it's like kind of on an axis.
You should bring that.
Yeah, you should use that.
Actually, I think was it.
We used that for Aki's mom.
I saw some YouTuber that they went around Japan and they would always bring it with them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So they were ready to go.
Yeah. I mean, it helps honestly.
Yeah, because like I remember learning how to use chopsticks, and I think to this day there is like a proper like chopstick technique, right?
Yes,
you kind of like hold it like a pen and you use one of your fingers to like adjust it, I don't use that technique. I kind of like brute force my way to just like figure out a way to like open and close the chopsticks. Like it's kind of like an extent. Can we actually we have some chopsticks. Let's rate our chopstick techniques.
Yeah.
And because it did make me realize, you know what? why do we have to go through a learning arc just to use a basic tool to eat?
Were you
Asia,
taught, or you figured it out?
I figured it out myself.
Yeah, me too. And I think I somehow figured out the way that everyone else does it.
Right.
I'm like, maybe the Europeans were kind of onto something because they just figured out a plug and play kind of system.
Like, I guess with sushi, a knife and fork is not as good as a chopstick.
No,
but even the chopstick's tough because you're supposed to in sushi, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. So Joey, you have the proper technique, right? Show us the proper technique to use the chopstick.
So the proper technique, okay, so I kind of have to show it like this.
Yeah, that's the way I do it.
Right.
Yeah.
But for me, this bottom hashi stays
stay still. That's
and
the
you
proper
only just
technique.
move the top one.
Yeah.
But I have seen people like my granddad, for example, my Chinese, not Chinese, my Japanese granddad and my sister, they do like a cross technique. They do this.
Oh, I've seen that, and I'm like, how the?
And then they pull it up and they do this. And I don't know how to do that, but my granddad did it, my mom does it, my sister does it, and I do it this way, which is I think is the correct way to do it.
How do I do it?
This is hard chopsticks.
Oh, this is hard chopsticks. Okay.
Yeah, so when I eat, I do like that.
Yeah, so that's correct.
I don't know. Okay, that's just like the way.
I think that's correct.
Okay, so that's the correct way, and that's like I only use that if I only use this way because if I need like precision, because with this one you can really get precise.
Yeah. Because some restaurants, right? Like,
it's
rude to leave any rice left behind.
Yeah.
Right? Unagi, right? If you get an unagi and you leave the rice, it's like,
yeah. Well, it wasn't good enough for you?
Yeah.
So you have to eat literally every single grain of rice, and you fucking need that.
Yeah, you need it. You need it.
Because you got to go around the box, like picking every grain up.
Yeah, so this is the correct technique to use the chopsticks, I think. Is it not?
Are you holding it weird?
How are you holding it?
No, because I was going to say I have my own method of using chopsticks that I guess I just developed as a kid.
Yo,
because
what the fuck is that?
Yeah, yes.
No, that's like your
that ain't it.
This is just my own technique, which is I don't know. There's
show me
no,
how you pick up something.
Okay, so you pick up something, you just like bring it in, and you use one of your fingers to like part the chopsticks like that. Okay. And
this is the worst way I've ever seen.
It is the worst way, but it was like the only way that I could like
try to pick up a chip.
Yeah, okay.
From this bag.
Because like it was the only way like I could like do it. It's just
that's impressive that it works, but my god, does that look inefficient?
Looks like it hurts.
Probably no, actually the reason I use this technique is because like my parents were just like, that's not the proper chopstick technique. Use the proper chopstick technique like this, the precision technique. Okay. And this would just give me hand cramps. I was like, Mom, this just ain't doing it for me. Okay. So I'm just like I just tried to like find a way. I just tried to find a way to like make my hands not cramp, and this way was just it's like it's more comfortable on my hands, and I can pick up stuff. I can do normal things, but it's not very good with precision, and it's awful with Korean style chopsticks as well.
Oh, I hate Korean. I hate metal chopsticks.
Yeah, metal chopsticks.
I hate it.
Yeah,
when you bite, because like sometimes you have some foods and you're trying to put it in your mouth from the chopsticks, and sometimes you actually touch the chopsticks, right? Which obviously like a barbarian, but when it's metal, you're like, oh.
Question: how do you hold a pencil then?
I don't hold a pencil
because the way I hold the chopstick is the way I hold a pencil.
How do I do it? Yeah, like that.
Yeah, like this, right?
Okay, I hold it like this. I guess.
God.
I guess this.
What the fuck? How the fuck are you doing that?
I don't know. This has always just felt uncomfortable for me. I guess I you know what I just realized? I guess I hold a pencil the same way I hold a chopstick.
Yeah, but that's all it is, right? You just pretend the pencil is the top chopstick, and then you just slip the bottom one underneath, and you hold onto it.
You guys don't want to know how Gon holds his dick when he pisses.
Kai has a picture of like proper chopstick holding.
The chopstick holding.
Yeah, which is exactly how I do it.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, so I have my own like homebrew method of like holding a chopstick and using a chopstick, and it works. It works my entire life.
Dude, if it works, it works.
There's just like some foods, even in Japan, where I'm like, man, this is just so much harder with the chopsticks, right? Like, let's say you want to, so even like sushi sometimes, right? So sushi is supposed to dip the meat in the soy sauce.
Yes.
So that means you have to grab it and then kind of turn it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a hard even I struggle to do that because sometimes the sushi will fall, the rice will separate from the fish when you turn it upside down. I'm like, dude, okay, hands superior for the sushi.
I mean, with sushi, I just use my hands.
Yeah, that's fine. But like sometimes if you're having something that you need to dip into like 3 things. Like, let's say you're having like a beef bowl or like a shogayaki or something, where you're getting rice and then you're grabbing a piece of meat and then you want to dip it in mayo or some sauce. You're like, okay, I am like getting 4 layers of things now and I'm hoping it stays together. Whereas a fork, you can just scoop, stab, and then just dip. You know what I mean?
Like I can use chopsticks to eat rice, but I'm like, is chopsticks superior to a spoon? Like superior to a spoon? In terms of like eating rice, in terms of just like ease of use and functionality, you know, because the thing is, chopsticks look cool. I'm not gonna lie, chopsticks just look cool and they feel cool. I can say this because I'm Asian. I grew up with both cultures.
Like Mr.
Miyagi. I'm bringing this up because I like if Connor brought this up, there would be like eyebrows like raising. But I'm like, you know,
there is a kind of elegance to it. Like it does feel a bit more elegant. I don't know why. Maybe because it's like very precise. But there are some foods they've given me chopsticks in Japan where I'm like, no. This is not allowed. I went to an Italian restaurant one time and they served me pasta with chopsticks.
Oh, that happens.
And I was like, the fuck is this?
I also refuse
Mamma
to...
mia.
The Italians are crying. I also refuse to eat salad with chopsticks as well.
Yeah, Maylene loves eating salad with chopsticks.
Like something about just stabbing in the fork.
Stabbing with a fork.
Like it hits different.
Yeah. I want to just stab all the leaves and get them all in one.
I don't want to like pick up each individual like leaf with chopsticks. It's not the same.
Okay, we got sidetracked. Anyway.
Sorry, I just realized that, you know...
Trash Tate, try not to have a tangent challenge.
You failed.
So I just realized that spoons and fork don't really have a skill ceiling, and chopsticks do. And I'm like,
a skill ceiling?
It just...
You mean like a barrier of entry?
A barrier of entry. And a skill ceiling as well. Because...
Want to see my trick shots with a spoon?